Well, we told you so. About a month or so ago, we live streamed our run through of PlayStation's open beta for Concord. At first glance, it looked like a lot of effort was put into the game in terms of graphics and ease of player use. It seemed like a simple concept, a co-op PvP shooter, but then we got into it. The character screen held ominous clues to how I thought this game would be received, and our predilections proved correct. This game has now earned the title of worst launch of any video game all year, and maybe one of the worst I've ever seen in all my years of gaming. Thus, the post-mortem has already begun in the mainstream media. Journalists are dissecting the whys and giving excuses and trying to sound like video game seers as they try to explain away this disaster for Sony, a disaster that cost $200 million in 8 years of development resources, and are now trying to pressure you into buying it. And everything I've read and everything I've heard just sounds so polite and political. And here's the thing, it's all wrong. Here's the reality. Concord is a game that no one wanted. There are already so many of these types of games on the market, and Concord was already fighting for a small piece of an ever-shrinking pie. It's a game that does not give you anything new, and I played it, so I'm not talking out of my ass here. There was nothing different, nothing unique, nothing to distinguish itself from the pack, and at a price tag of $39.99 for the base game, it was overpriced for what it was offering. But despite those reasons, that's not why it really failed. When playing the open beta, we discussed what the problem would be, at least for most gamers, and at least in my eyes. It's a woke game, and no one wants a woke game anymore. How much more evidence this year do we need? The failure of Suicide Squad, the success of Helldivers 2 and Stellar Blade, the massive backlash against Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws for what looks like progressive identity politics being inserted into the storylines. There's a clear pattern that has developed over the last 8 months, and it is undeniable at this point. So, when we launched the open beta one night and live streamed it, oh boy, we knew. We didn't even need to see the pronouns inserted into the bios on the character select screen to know that this game had an alternative purpose. I only needed to see the visual designs, body positivity, confusing gender roles, the makeup and color schemes. Yeah, it looked like downtown San Francisco in June. And believe me, I used to work there, and that is not a good thing right now in the world of gaming. And yes, I know, outlets like Forbes are aggressively denying the whole woke backlash in gaming is the reason Concord failed. And the gamer is begging for us to give it a chance, give it time to work out the kinks. And sentiments like that abounds in the mainstream press, but they are the mainstream press. What else did you expect but excuses being made for how the game and the content of the game is not at fault for its failure? It's the fans, specifically the mean YouTubers. Sound like a familiar argument? But again, for someone who actually played this game, it was the woke crap that turned me off. I want a game that is going to focus on the actual entertainment of the game and not worry about or try to insert progressive politics, or any politics for that matter, into something that I pay money for, especially when it seems those politics got as much consideration as the gameplay itself. $40 so I can be inundated with an ideology I'm tired of having stuffed in my face and have a subpar gaming experience at the same time? No thank you. $40 so I can buy a game that took 8 years to develop and still I'm the one who needs to give it time to work out the kinks? No thank you. Do I go to the grocery store and buy food that still needs to grow? Do I pay for medicine at the pharmacy that will start working next year if I take it today? Only in gaming do I come across this idea that I should pay for products that are not ready for customer use, and that I should just shut up and be happy about the fact that I'm allowed the privilege of playing your unfinished game. That I'm the one being impatient, unreasonable, and if those don't work first, I'm the one being bigoted. So go screw, it's my money, I'll spend it on things I want to spend it on. So yeah, Concord's gameplay was fun for about 20 minutes, then it was repetitive. It's uninspiring, the maps are whatever. The goals and objectives are things we've seen a million times before in other games. It's designed to be a grind. In shooter games, not many people want to grind that hard to get their characters leveled up so slowly. It's also trying to mimic Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, for some reason, and it failed miserably. As a child of the late 70s and the early 80s, the developers for Concord missed the motif they were looking for by a wide and large swath. It's full of identity politics. It's a game that at the end of our live stream, we came to the conclusion that this would be the only time we played it. We would not spend any money on it. It had no value. It had no hook. It had everything we did not want and nothing that we did. So now, the mainstream gaming press is scrambling to boost it up, pressuring gamers to give it a chance. And I'm telling you something I tell my kids and I tell my employees. Your first instinct is usually the correct one. Our first instinct? this game was a complete waste of our time. I'll be damned if I let it be a waste of my money or allow it to take up any storage space on my console. So, if you're out there right now and the gaslighting and the guilt tripping is starting to get to you, and now you're thinking about dropping the $39.99 on Concord, trust in the gringo. Don't do it. Only disappointment and regret await you on the other side. And that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Have you played Concord? What did you think of it? And if you want more video game live streams and reviews, click on the links in the descriptions below. As well, if you liked this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button, subscribe, comment, and share it out. It really helps out the channel each week. I thank you for listening. And from south of the border, remember, I'm still your reluctant gringo. Salute and a huevo.